DJI have just released a new firmware for the DJI RC2 version 02020300. Now this is weird. Let's do this. Hello, welcome once again to the channel, and today, or late last night, DJI released, as I've just said, the new firmware for the DJI RC2. So it seems that this is becoming quite increasingly annoying, in my opinion. They keep releasing these firmwares, DJI RC2, but I found something very, very strange happen when I did the update. And you might just like to check this out because it might happen to you as well. So let's get straight into the video and have a look exactly what I'm talking about. So here we go then. If your update doesn't auto-populate itself, go into the settings, firmware update, and click check for firmware updates. And as you can see, there's a new firmware available. What does it bring us? Fix some known issues. Well, one or two of you have been having some problems with your update on the last round, so this might just fix it for you. I know there was one or two of you saying that it was taking a long time for the screen to appear, but I checked mine after this update and the one before, and it was about 18 seconds from start to finish up to the camera view, so it's quite weird. So once the update was installed, what I did is I always check through the menus, and that's where I spotted a slight problem, if you like. So let's get into that a little bit and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. So the first thing that I did is open up the menus, and as you can see in the About section just here, it's showing 1.13.9, which is really odd because on the last couple of videos that I did on the Fly app update, it was 1.13.10. So I thought, well, this is quite odd. So what I did is I went back and checked just there to see if there's any firmware updates for the aircraft, and obviously there wasn't. So what I did then is I went back to the main menu and then into Profile, Settings, and to the About section and checked just there for updates. This is for the Fly app, and sure enough, there is another firmware available, which is quite strange. So click the update and downloading updates. And as you can see just here in the main screen, you can see that it's actually downloading the update for the DJI Fly. This is very odd that the firmware, the latest firmware, has knocked it back to the old Fly app 1.13.9. Now, I don't know whether this is going to happen to you guys or whether it stayed the same. I just thought to point this out and make sure that you're aware of it, because some of you might not notice. However, so once that was done, I can go back into the main menu and check the Go Fly once again, and then open up the menus and click on the About section, and as you can see just there, it's now showing 1.13.10. So this is quite bizarre. Anyway, that's your little fix if you like. If yours is showing 1.13.9 as mine did after this latest firmware update, that's what you need to do. You need to go back into the profile settings and do exactly what I've done. I've just checked to make sure that there's no updates available. And so we're just going to have a quick look through the menus now and make sure that everything is up to date. You can see just there, Fly Up updated 13.10. And as I've always said, it's always best to check through your menus and make sure that everything is working absolutely fine. And just checking in the safety. I always check in the advanced safety, make sure when return to home, and just checking generally through these menus, nothing's actually changed because it's back to 1.13.10. So as always, on with a quick flight test. I do these just to give you guys some confidence in making sure that everything works fine as it should. And I'm going to speed this up because it was quite a bit of a flight test that I did. So basically just taking the aircraft out, the Mini 4 Pro today, and making sure that everything works as it should. And with it being 1.13.10, we already did a flight test on that, but as you know, we've had a new RC firmware, so I thought I would do that as well. As always, I'm going to speed it up so as not to bore you to death. I've noticed just down here I noticed this on the last flight test. This was the old runway approach for a Rolls-Royce site that we used to have, and there seems to be some building works going off down there, so I will check that out a bit later on in my own time. So just checking one or two things. I'm going to check the flight modes, make sure that each flight mode is working as it should. Normal mode, city and sport. And also a return to home. Now I did have a comment on the last video that I did, the last flight video, asking why me and other YouTubers do a return to home and why we don't turn the controller off and do that return to home in a signal loss situation. The main reason for that is if we do a return to home by turning the controller off, then we lose the screen recording. So that's why we don't. That's why I don't certainly do it, and probably other YouTubers as well. But as you can see just here, that's working fine. Return to home. I'm not going to let it land. I'm just going to cancel it. So once again, speed it up and going into sports mode and making sure that that works fine. I'm going to check all the modes as I just said. So here we go in sports mode. People ask me as well, why do I fly in Imperial? I like to see that miles per hour. As you can see there, it's increasing up to 30 miles per hour. I do like to see the miles per hour rather than the meters per second, but that's just a personal choice, personal preference. As you can see there, the obstacle avoidance doesn't work in sports mode. But when you are in sports mode, if you was to activate return to home, then the obstacle avoidance will come on. I did a video about that earlier in another previous video. Just checking quickly in city mode, and that works absolutely fine as well. So just do a quick spotlight and a quick drone, and then we'll call that one done. Two ways you can do spotlight, as I'm sure you know, is you can draw a box around, or you can use the subject tracking as well. And as you can see, that's working absolutely fine. We're doing it in cine mode. You can do it in normal. You can do it in sports mode as well if you want a quick orbit. You can also use point of interest as well. That's another feature where you can do an orbit. So that works absolutely fine. We'll just do a quick drone. The battery's getting quite low. Just as I said that, it pops up. We'll just click cancel and do this quick, and I'm sure it'll be absolutely fine. 20% battery, and as you can see, I've speeded it up once again. That countdown, by the way, that's still off. It's been off for quite some time now, and that one's absolutely fine. So we'll call that one done, and we'll summarize it back in the studio. So there we go, just a short update for the DJI RC2, and there was that little bit of a mishap, a problem if you like, with that fly app. So after checking, as you saw in the video, after checking the menus, I noticed straight away in the about section that it had actually gone back to 1.13.9. And a couple of videos ago, when I did the firmware update for the RC2 again, as you saw, it brought 1.13.10. So I did the check after looking in the about section, and sure enough, 1.13.10 was again available. So all I can think of is the firmware for the RC2, the 0300, somehow rolled it back to 13.9. So if that happens to you, all you need to do is go in, as I showed you in the video, go into the about section under profile and settings, and just check for the fly app update, and that's when it'll bring it forward again. So there you go. As you saw, I did a quick flight test in the local area where I normally go, and it works absolutely superb. So one or two of you did reach out to me and said that the startup time on the RC2 was a little bit slow after the last update, but mine was absolutely fine. And I've checked this morning, and it's 18 seconds to the camera screen. So who knows? Let's hope that this fixes it for you if you've been suffering with that problem. So as I said in the last video, I'm off on my holidays in a couple of days' time, so there won't be any videos for about 7 to 10 days. So hope you find this video useful, and if you have, don't forget, as always, give us the old thumbs up. And if you're new around here, why don't you consider subscribing, dinging the dong, and all the rest of it that goes with it. I'm sure you know me by now. And there might be a couple of videos over there that you might like to look at, and if you do, I shall see you over there. Thanks for watching. We'll see you when I return in the next video.